Ever found yourself, wrestling with just a crazy tangle of cables, trying to get sharp, high-def video from one box to like a dozen screens? Maybe for a sports bar or a big meeting room, or even just a really ambitious home setup. It always feels like it's going to be this huge mess of wires and power bricks everywhere. Well, what if I told you there's a way to make that whole process surprisingly simple, using the network cables you might already have? Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. We're looking at the WolfPack 4K 30 Hz HDMI over IP splitters with POE. It's a solution that promises, well, advanced video distribution, but with this focus on simplicity.
Yeah, our mission today is really to kind of pull back the curtain on how this stuff actually works. We'll look at the big advantages, what makes it tick, and why it's honestly becoming a bit of a transformation for anyone who needs quality video on lots of screens. And we're basing this on the details from HDTV Supply's product info, trying to cut through the tech speak.
Right. So get ready to really understand what these systems are about, and maybe, just maybe, how they could solve some of your video headaches. Okay, so let's unpack this main idea first. HDMI over IP. I mean, HDMI to most of us is just that cable, right? Point A to point B. What does sending it over IP actually mean in practice?
It's a pretty fundamental shift, actually. Traditionally, yeah, it's one cable source to screen, and it has distance limits. Or for multiple screens, you need a dedicated HDMI matrix switcher, which can get bulky, expensive, and kind of locked in.
Yeah.
But HDMI over IP, well, it means your HDMI video and audio signals get chopped up into data packets, like your normal internet traffic. And then they travel over a standard Ethernet network, your LAN.
Oh,
That's
okay.
not just a technical tweak. It leverages the network gear you might already have instead of needing all new special cables.
So instead of that dedicated pipe, our video signal just becomes like another commuter on the network highway.
Exactly.
And the big win there, I guess, is this huge network distribution potential. You can send that high-quality video and audio to maybe hundreds of screens using just the network.
Precisely. Think about it. A standard HDMI cable is 1-to-1. A matrix switch has a fixed number of inputs and outputs, right? You buy a 4x4, you get 4 screens. With IP, the network itself is your distribution system. The video stream gets broadcast using something called multicast.
Multicast.
Yeah, basically the video's sent out once onto the network, and any receiver unit that wants it just kind of listens for it.
Huh.
This means you can scale up massively, add another screen, just add another receiver to the network. You don't need a whole new switcher or miles of new HDMI cable.
That does sound like a major infrastructure shift. Okay, but once the video's zooming around the network, what about the quality? Does it still look good when it gets to the screen? The specs mentioned 4K 30 Hz UHD compliancy. What does that actually guarantee for the picture we see?
Right, so 4K 30 Hz resolution support means you're getting a really sharp, clear picture delivered to all those TVs. The high-def signal from your source gets there perfectly, pixel for pixel. Now, some people might immediately ask, why not 4K 60 Hz? And that's a fair question.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
Well, 30 Hz here is actually a smart choice for these multi-display setups. It drastically cuts down the amount of network bandwidth needed compared to 60 Hz. For things like digital signs, presentations, even most TV channels, you honestly won't notice the difference in frame rate. But your network stability, especially with lots of screens, it'll thank you.
Ah, okay. So it's a practical choice for reliability when you're sending to many places at once.
Exactly. Efficiency and stability.
Gotcha. And speaking of practical stuff, another thing that jumps out is this POE design, no AC adapters needed. I mean, just setting up a few monitors can create a power strip nightmare. Doing that for dozens of TVs. Ugh.
Oh, it's a total game changer for installs. PoE power over Ethernet, it's a standard, like 802.3 AF or 0.3 AT. It lets compatible network switches push power through the Ethernet cable itself.
The same cable carrying the video.
The very same one. So the receiver unit at the TV gets its data and its power from that single network cable.
Wow.
Imagine that sports bar with 20 TVs. Instead of needing 20 outlets nearby, 20 power adapters. Just one network cable run to each display.
That's huge for tidiness. And probably installation cost, too.
Definitely reduces clutter, simplifies power planning. But there is one important thing to keep in mind.
What's that?
You need to make sure your network switch, the one providing the PoE, has enough total power, what they call a power budget, to run all those receivers you plug into it.
Why? You can't just assume it'll power 50 devices if it's only built for 10.
Exactly. It's a key planning step for bigger setups.
Okay, good note. So beyond the setup ease, let's talk performance. The spec sheet mentions 0 latency. Now, with network video, sometimes you expect a tiny delay. Why is minimal latency so critical here?
Yeah, you're right to pick up on that. Zero latency is often more of a marketing term, meaning imperceptibly low latency. But the system is designed for minimal delay. And it's absolutely crucial because even a tiny lag can just ruin the experience.
Like how?
Well, think about live events. A concert, a conference presentation. The video on the big screen needs to be perfectly in sync with the live audio and the person speaking.
Right, otherwise it looks dubbed.
Exactly. Or even more critical maybe is gaming. A split-second delay. That's game over, literally.
Yeah, gamers would notice immediately.
And interactive displays, too. Any noticeable lag feels clunky. So minimal latency just ensures that smooth, real-time feel, which is vital for anything dynamic.
Makes sense. And the reach. It says sends 4K 30 Hz HDMI to 330 feet in and out. So effectively, like 660 feet total distance source to screen over the network. That's incredible. How does plain old network cable manage that?
That's really where using the network shines. A normal HDMI cable starts to struggle pretty quickly. You might need boosters or expensive active cables for reliable 4K beyond maybe 20, 30 feet.
Yeah, they get pricey fast.
But with HDMI over IT, the video is just digital data. It travels happily over standard Cat5 or a Cat6 Ethernet cable for hundreds of feet. And essentially, every network switch along the path acts like a repeater, boosting the signal. So you can cover huge distances across a building, even a campus. Impossible with direct HDMI.
That range really opens things up. Okay, let's shift to growth. The sources say this system is field upgradable to 253 TVs, starting from an initial setup for, say, 47 TVs. That sounds hugely scalable. How did that actually work?
Yeah, scalability is maybe one of the biggest pluses of going IP-based. Unlike a traditional matrix switcher where you're stuck with the number of ports you bought.
Right, you buy an 8x8, you get 8 outputs, end of story.
Exactly. Here, you just add more receivers, more RX units to your network whenever you need more screens. Started with 10 displays, now you need 30. Just buy 20 more RX boxes, plug them into your network switch, done.
You don't have to replace the core system.
Nope. You don't rip anything out. Your initial investment is kind of protected because the system grows with you. It's incredibly future-proof in that sense.
And cost-effective for expansion, I bet.
Absolutely. Way cheaper than buying a whole new, larger matrix switch every time.
And it also sounds really user-friendly. Mentions plug and play and no software needed.
Yeah.
Is it truly that simple? Like plug it in and it just works? Or do you need to be an IT whiz?
For the basic job, getting video from A to B, C, D, and so on, yeah, it's designed to be remarkably simple. Plug and play really means minimal fuss. You don't need special software drivers or complex configuration menus just to get a picture.
That's good news.
And the kits often include the necessary PoE Ethernet switch too, which streamlines things even more. Just connect everything up.
Okay.
Now, beyond that basic setup, it does have some pro features, like HDCP compliance.
The copy protection thing.
Exactly. Crucial. Without HDCP support, things like your Blu-ray player, cable box, streaming sticks, they just won't send a signal. So this ensures your protected content actually plays everywhere.
Good point. Can't forget that.
And it also has an RS-232 port. That's for integration with more sophisticated AV control systems like Crestron or Control4, plus separate audio connections if you need to route audio differently.
So simple core function, but with hooks for bigger, more complex systems if needed.
Precisely.
Let's talk about the actual hardware pieces then, the WolfPack components. It says only $100 for a TX or an RX. What are TX and RX, and how do they make a system?
Right. So TX is the transmitter, RX is the receiver. Simple enough. The TX unit, that's the heart. You plug your video source into it, your cable box, PC, media player, whatever has HDMI out. It takes that signal, turns it into network packets.
Got it. Source connects to TX.
Yep. Then the RX units, the receivers, you connect one of those to each TV or monitor you want to show the video on. The RX grabs those video packets off the network and turns them back into a standard HDMI signal for the screen.
So for splitting one source to, say, 10 TVs, I need one TX and 10 RXs.
Exactly that. One transmitter and one receiver per display. And yeah, that $100 price point per piece makes building out even a pretty large system surprisingly affordable.
And I saw they offer pre-configured bundles too, like a 1x2 POE HDMI over IP splitter system for $450, or a 1x10 for around $1,300. Even a 1x12 for about $1,500.
Yeah, those bundles are great. They package the TX, the right number of RXs, and usually the necessary PoE switch all together.
Takes the guesswork out of it.
Right. Makes it really easy to just buy a complete solution for, say, 10 screens, knowing you have all the core bits you need. It simplifies that initial purchase decision a lot.
Okay, so bringing it all together, who is this system really for? Where does this kind of robust, scalable, but simple video distribution make the most sense? Who are you picturing using this?
Oh, it's incredibly versatile. Think commercially first. Sports bars, right? They need
Yeah.
tons of screens showing different feeds potentially.
Definitely.
Restaurants, retail stores doing digital signage or promotions. Corporate boardrooms, training centers needing flexible presentation displays without cable limits. Schools, universities, lecture halls. Houses of worship projecting services or lyrics. Anywhere you need reliable video on multiple screens.
And what about at home? Is this overkill for residential?
Not necessarily for higher-end setups. Think large homes needing multi-room video. Maybe you have one central media rack with all your sources. This lets you watch any of those sources on any TV in the house just over your home network wiring. No need to run bulky, expensive HDMI cables through walls everywhere. And again, the POE simplifies powering those receivers at each TV.
So it solves that how do I get the signal there
Hey.
problem cleanly.
Exactly. The ease of install with PoE, the scalability, the long distance reach, the low latency, it just makes projects feasible that might have been incredibly complex or costly before using older tech.
Right. So today we've really dug into these WolfPack 4K 30 Hz HDMI over IP splitters. We've seen how they deliver that 4K clarity, but smartly manage bandwidth, how PoE drastically simplifies installs. We talked about that near zero latency for critical stuff and the massive scalability going from a few screens to literally hundreds, all using standard network gear.
Yeah.
It really does feel like a complete package.
Yeah, and I think what this deep dive really highlights is where high-quality multi-screen video is headed. It's undeniably moving onto the network. These intelligent network-based solutions prioritize ease of use, cost-effectiveness, and that crucial flexibility. It's a definite shift away from clunky, dedicated hardware towards leveraging the network infrastructure that's often already there, which, raises a bigger question. As more AV moves onto the network like this, what other tricky AV challenges could this kind of network simplicity and scale solve in the future?
That is something interesting to ponder as you think about your own video setup needs.